313 to me. I was born at Hutzel Hospital in Detroit to a General Motors attorney and a WGPR turned WKBD news anchor. I loved stomping on the peanut shells at Tiger Stadium, skating with the stars at Joe Louis, and spinning on the platform at Cobo Hall. My holiday bears came from Hudson's. I drink pop, not soda, and I love cakes that are bumpy. And I know that the blue light means it's sale time. My first love was a bad boy, and my last love comes from a slum village. Detroit is not where I'm from. It's part of who I am. Detroit, what up, doe? Happy 313 Day. I'm your Detroit native host for the evening, Amir Makupson, and tonight we're showing you the Detroit that you didn't know we had. You'll see some familiar faces, and we have a few new ones for you too. But before we get into all of that, there's another love letter to the city that we just have to show you. Our own Lauren Winfrey is born and raised in Detroit. Here's her message for the city.
Good morning, everybody. Let's clap it up for the city of Detroit. Come on, Detroit, Detroit.
I was born and raised in Detroit. I grew up near 6 Mile and Otta Drive. I danced at Detroit Windsor Dance Academy and participated in programs like NYSP, DAPSAP, Coets, and I even cheered for 2 PAL teams, the Cubs and the Eagles. Not too much on the Eagles, okay? And say what you want about the People Mover, but for me, it's nostalgic and I will never not be obsessed. My dad was and still is well respected and well loved throughout the city for his passion for young people and helping them succeed. My mom is the longest serving elected official in office right now. My grandparents migrated from the South here. Well, except Nana. She was born here, and at 89 years old, she's still here. Now I get to tell stories here in the city that's helped mold me into a woman of both grit and grace. I'm at home here, and my children get to grow here. Historically, Detroit's had a lot of haters, but take it from me, there's something so special about being from the 313.
And why I love Detroit is downtown. It's just so beautiful, especially the Riverwalk. I just love it, and y'all need to come on down. Detroit is the best.
I love the city. I love the snow. I love the things to do. They have things to do here, not where I'm from.
Nothing like Detroit. I've been to a lot of places, and it's nowhere like this at all.
City is the people. You'll meet the most passionate, the most inspiring, the most dedicated people you will ever meet is from this city.
Well, Detroit is home of the hustlers for sure. Now, one thing that I love about Detroit is, of course, the Historical Museum. It's the very best, I think, museum ever. But if you want to meet the first Black woman to become a master plumber, you can learn her story among so many others in the Hustle exhibit that is right now at the Historical Museum, Detroit's Unsung Entrepreneurs, and exhibit that is open now through April 7th in the lower level of the Detroit Historical Museum. Rebecca Witt-Sullivan is here to join us today to talk a little bit more about it. So I've gotten a chance to see it, and it is fantastic. There's so many neat entrepreneurs and stuff there. But for those who don't know, what is the Hustle exhibit?
You know what? The exhibit and the program itself is really our celebration of the people, the entrepreneurs who make Detroit's neighborhoods really work, right? So we really reached deep. We found those people who you might not ever have heard of, and we lifted them up and celebrated them for 2 years. This exhibition brings all of those together. So it's 34 people, all with their own vignette in the lower level of the Historical Museum. They are energetic, it is lively, it is beautiful, it is colorful. It's such a fun exhibit, I love it.
And you touch on some of everything. There was Vibe Ride and hair and gaming and food and everything. How could you possibly narrow down?
Well, I mean, right? Good question. So first of all, we crowdsourced nominations. So we took nominations every way you can imagine, and it literally covered every neighborhood in the city. So we were really excited about the diversity of the types of industries, the neighborhoods that were represented, all of that kind of stuff really came through. Then we knew that for this project to be really of the community, it had to rely on the community to make those selections. So we had a committee of community members. They worked from a rubric, so it was all super fair, and they evaluated every one of the 785 nominations we received individually against this rubric, and from those we sifted up the people who were really the most representatives of the hustle in Detroit.
Well, it is quite an exhibit. And Rebecca, before you go, I don't want to not mention the fact that you all have been creating or preserving history in Detroit for 100 years. So thank you for what you do at the Detroit Historical. When can people, what's the deadline to go catch the hustle?
It's going to close March 30th, so just a couple more weeks. And yeah, the day before Easter, it's going to be its final day. Come on in and see it.
And a word from Amir, bring some extra cash because their shop is phenomenal.
Best stuff in Detroit.
Very. Thank you, Rebecca. We'll be right back.
My favorite zip code? 48235. Yeah.
I'm a Detroiter. I've been a Detroiter 27 years. The best side, west side, 48227.
48205. The ghetto is part of the city of Detroit.
My favorite zip code? 48228. Clearly.
48205.
48209.
48227. 48237.
48235.
Oh, whoa, hold on, we got to cut. You right, hold on. I slept up on that one. 48235, you right.
Well, listen, we ain't gonna argue about it. No matter what your favorite zip code is, there is no doubt that Detroit does have a little bit of a long way to go with beautifying some of our neighborhoods, but so much has already been done. Lawan Counts is here to share more on the efforts to remove blight from our city. Lawan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, as always, for having us.
Now, you all have been busy.
Extremely.
Yeah. What are some of the projects going on now to beautify?
So we're currently working on our residential package. We're at about 5,700 residential demos that we've completed. We've got about another 2,500 to go. And then we're moving on into our ARPA-funded commercial demos. We've got over 350 of those identified, and over 100 of those have already been completed.
Gosh, that sounds very time-consuming. How are you going to get it all done? Or do you have a timeline?
So the residentials we're projecting to wind down later on this year, and then the commercials sometime at the end of next year we'll be done with all of those.
Now, you're a Detroit native yourself, correct?
Born and raised, yes, 48221.
What do you think is the most beautiful part of the city?
For me, it's definitely the neighborhoods and especially the park areas. It's amazing how you see the community come together in those spaces. Kids who normally probably wouldn't play with each other, they don't go to the same schools, but you get to see them interact with each other. You get to engage with neighbors that you wouldn't normally engage with at the parks. So it's going to be the neighborhoods and the parks for me.
That might get you in a little bit of trouble, and I don't mean to, but what is your favorite? What do you think is just the most beautiful area?
I don't have a favorite, actually. It varies from which side of the city. You know, we've got over 311 parks, so it depends on what side of the city you're on. Of course, my neighborhood park would have been Palmer Park, so of course I've got a slight affinity for Palmer Park.
I love Palmer Park too. I have a lot of family over there. We're from the Boston Edison area, though, so beautiful homes.
So we're from Bagley.
So, well, good to see you here then. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back.
Fire, you know, I ain't missed a meal, so it's 100% accurate.
Ooh, the endless amount of great conies. There's some bad ones too, but it's so many great conies that they just drown the bad ones out, you know?
I mean, conies. First thing I had for weeks when I first moved here, for sure, but I don't have them as much now. But
Detroit food, I'm a lamb chops. That's what come to mind. I don't have a specific restaurant, but lamb chops with some zip sauce, count me in.
There's too much good food. Detroit is filled with so much diversity in our people, and especially food. Known as the potato chip capital, creators of the Detroit deep dish square pizza, and of course, home of the Coney. They're all good. A few local staples here in this city are here to show you something special for Detroit Day. What up, though, y'all?
Hi, I'm Jessica West with Uncle Ray's. Uncle Ray's was founded in 1965. Ray Jenkins, who is one of our founders, born and raised right here in Detroit. Uncle Ray's headquarters are currently located on the west side of Detroit and will remain a part of our Detroit community. One of our core values is to care for the people we work with and care for the people that work for us. Our Detroit-based team has some of the most dedicated folks. It's an honor to walk among Detroiters that have been a part of the Uncle Ray's family for 20+ years. Their passion for making a great chip is inspiring to each team member that arrives on Burwood Street each day. I thank you for all that you do. You truly are the shining example of Detroit resiliency.
Buddy's Pizza was born in Detroit 78 years ago at the corner of 6 Mile and Conant. A new style of pizza was made from our founder's Sicilian roots, combined with fresh-made dough, baked in steel pans with Wisconsin brick cheese, and a light, crispy crust that's like no other. Buddy's is proud to become part of the fabric of Detroit through a new pizza style that today has been named the most loved in the country. I'm Chris Tusing, the CEO of the original Detroit-style pizza, Buddy's Pizza.
Hi, I'm Grace Kiros, and I am third generation of American Coney Island, downtown Detroit. My brother and I are co-owners. Grandpa started this back in 1917. We are located right downtown on Lafayette and Michigan Avenue, same corner for 107 years. My grandfather invented the Coney dog. The chili is our own family recipe chili. The hot dog is a proprietary hot dog made only for us by Dearborn Sausage, a steamy bun, mustard, and a sweet onion. And there you have 107 years of American Coney Island. We also have a location in Vegas, and you can also ship out these Coney kits all across the country. People get them to their front door. Go to AmericanConeyIsland.com.
Here to tell us that your date is missing.
I did not get ghosted. I think he was taken.
And now she, Diara Kilpatrick, is taking over the city, promoting her new scripted series, Diara from Detroit. Not only did Diara create and executive produce the dramedy, she stars in it. And yes, she's really from Detroit.
From an artistic point of view, the city really fed me. So I was in Mosaic Youth Theater. I was always at the DIA. I was always at the Charles Wright Museum.
Diara says it's those experiences that help shape the creative she is today. And when it comes to how she conceptualized the series, she credits Detroit for that too.
For one, there was a local Detroit story that was sort of inspiring, kind of ripped from the headlines news story that I think people will recognize when they watch the show. The other thing was sort of like the advent of ghosting to me was really interesting. Like it's this cultural thing of just like, hey, we had something, we don't anymore, I don't really need to talk to you about it. You know, I thought that that was just a very particular interesting thing that's going into society, and I wanted to comment on it and like bring attention to it. And then the other thing is, growing up here in Detroit, actually, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, curled up with her on the couch. We watched Perry Mason, Matlock, and of course Murder, She Wrote. And I always wanted to see like a black female private investigator from that lens, like from the lens of a black woman.
Because she didn't see it growing up, she created it. Now Diara from Detroit, Diara hopes other women see themselves represented in the series too. Okay, so the thing about this new series, it is phenomenal. I was able to see a little bit of it yesterday, and when I tell you I was on the edge of my seat trying to piece together all of the clues, it was great. I cannot wait for it to come out on March 21st. And the great thing about this is CBS and BT were all under the Paramount umbrella. So I'm going to let you guys take a look at what's kind of happening here. We're at the Garden Theater in Detroit, and it is very much a celebration. So right now, a ton of folks are inside watching the screening. It's wrapping up. Then they're going to come outside for some entertainment. Local artist Charity, she will be putting on a little bit of show for people, and then some of the cast will do a meet and greet with all of the Detroiters who have come out to celebrate. And it is so exciting just to be here in this space. And then speaking with Diara, she is a gem. Okay, she is truly a Detroit girl. She grew up in the Cass Corridor area. She went to Bates, and I found out today we also went to the same high school, Detroit Country Day. I don't always find a lot of people who went to Country Day, but shout out to my high school. Definitely a proud alum. And like I said, they're going to be partying all throughout the day because it's 313 Day, and it was really important to Diarra to make sure that she was able to do something for the city of Detroit and really partake in the day with all of us. Amir, I know you've been talking to a number of people, and just to hear from Detroiters and to hear from people talking about just how prideful they are to be from this city of so much resilience, so much grit. I talked about the city helping shape me into a woman of grit and grace, and I truly mean that. It's so amazing to be from Detroit. Okay, I think some more people are kind of coming out, and so in a bit, this little atrium area, it'll be filled up with a lot of people, again, celebrating today, celebrating this new series. It is definitely something worth checking out, and it comes out on BT Plus on March 21st. I'm definitely going to be tuning in. Hope you guys tune in too. We're going to toss to a quick break for now, but reporting live at the Garden Theater, Lauren Winfrey, CBS News, Detroit.
Welcome back. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. What up, Detroit? That's the way we greet one another around here. And there's one person who knows exactly how to welcome you this evening. Here is world-renowned poet Natasha T. Miller.
After finding out where I was from, a woman on a train in Boston smiles and tells me not to worry. She hears that in the next 5 to 10 years, Detroit is going to be the Midwestern New York. I, in turn, worry. For obvious reasons, the rats in New York are tall enough to drive taxis, and the people in New York are all seemingly allergic to saying, "Excuse me." Those are problems I don't want. A few years later, I pick up a paper and the headline reads, "Welcome to the New Detroit." And I'm quickly reminded of something my grandmother once said: you can sell a house 1,000 times, but the walls will still tell stories of the first family that owned it. So you can't just throw soil on top of a land of living people, then try and convince the outside world that our home was graveyard before it began to blossom bike lanes and fine dining. This is not a city attempting to transition into another city. It's just Detroit. It's churches and old buildings that lean like drunk lovers but still open every Sunday for worship. It's Coney Island hot dogs and Faygo Pop on the days when you want to feel like you were the only one told a secret. Is what up, though? And water shutoffs. A woman planting flowers in potholes, a line straight out of a Tupac song, is still here because we didn't change our zip code when our sports team started losing, our school started shutting down, our air started smelling like gun smoke, and new money is Motown. It's a homeless man on the corner of Selden and 2nd with musicless headphones, always dancing like his imaginary check had more money on it than he expected. And yes, sometimes the suburban folks treat the city like a party they weren't invited to, show up, start fights, and then exit before the police show up. And yes, sometimes the police don't show up. It's not perfect, but it's a city that held its place in line until God returned from an extended lunch break. It's a place where any person on the streets will still politely give you directions, even when they themselves feel lost. It's a beast that swallowed my brother and countless other friends and family members long before their time. But home is wherever the most of your loved ones are buried. It's the place that's found the perfect balance between breaking your heart and layering your skin. It's the factory that you were built in, and on the nights when you feel defective, it's the safest space to return to. So, to the woman on the train in Boston who thought that I was worried, to the couple in Seattle who wanted to know if my skin has ever tasted bullet, to the people trying to figure out which Detroit to believe, it's a complicated story with more semicolons than periods. On its best days, it's still broken, but it lives and it grinds and it is all of ours still.
I always had a vision to start my own business when I moved to Detroit 12 years ago, carving my own creative path while also elevating the voices of artists that are from Detroit. In 2015, I met my business partner, Diamond, at a kickboxing class, and our friendship led to an inside joke that we put on a t-shirt. And the Not Sorry brand was born. The phrase, "Never apologize for being yourself," became the compass for everything we do. And now, 9 years later, we are so proud to showcase the creative spirit of Detroit carrying over 20 local artists at our flagship store. Happy 313 Day. We love you, Detroit.
Tonight has been such a beautiful display of love, culture, and family. I don't want it to end. From the Detroit River to the tip of 8 Mile Detroit, we love you and thank you for being who you are. This is truly a beautiful city indeed, and to prove it, here's the Mosaic Theater of Detroit with Oh, What a Beautiful City. Good night, Detroit, and thank you to everyone who made this show, including our producer, Detroit native Aaron Amos. Happy 313 Day.